और चुरू की धरती से मैं देशवासियों को फिर से एक बार 2014 के मेरे इन शब्दों को मां भारती के वीरों को नमन करते हुए आज मैं फिर से दोहरा रहा हूं। सौगंध मुझे इस मिट्टी की, सौगंध मुझे इस मिट्टी की, मैं देश नहीं मिटने दूंगा। मैं देश नहीं रुकने दूंगा। मैं देश नहीं झुकने दूंगा। सौगंध मुझे है मिट्टी की, मैं देश नहीं मिटने दूंगा। मैं देश नहीं रुकने दूंगा। मैं देश नहीं झुकने दूंगा। मेरा वचन है, मेरा वचन है भारत मां को, मेरा वचन है भारत मां को, तेरा शीश झुकने नहीं दूंगा। आज चूरू की धरती से मैं देशवासियों को विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि देश सुरक्षित हाथों में है।
Good evening, voters. Tonight, let us begin by saying how proud we are of our forces and recognize the fact that this government has done what no one else in India's recent history has done. This government has let our forces give more than a befitting reply. There was never any doubt. We've always had the capabilities to wipe out the terror camps on our neighbors' territory, but never the political will. Tonight, that has changed. India has sent a message loud and clear to the entire world, not just to Pakistan. We are committed to fighting terror, and we will carry out specific targeted strikes to root out terrorism in a bid to protect our own. But we have miles to go, really, before we sleep. The action, viewers, has just begun. And so tonight I ask this question: should India carry out more such targeted bombings and killings? One surgical strike over 2 years ago was clearly not enough for Pakistan to get the message and start acting. One direct bombing may not be enough to wipe out the likes of Lashkar-e-Taiba, JEM and Hizbul Mujahideen. The distinction is, we are not rooting for war here. This isn't a battle against the people of Pakistan or even the forces of the Pakistani government right now. But this is a battle against terrorism. So let's get the hit list ready and take out the men who constantly plot to unleash terror on our land. That's the big debate and discussion tonight. Let's say good evening to our panelists. Nitin Gokhale, National Security Expert. We'll also have Jaidev Ranade, former Additional Secretary with RAW, and Major General K.K. Sinha, Defence Expert. Vinay Tiwari, our Consulting Editor, continues to be with us in our Mumbai studios. First up, though, I want to go across to Nirupama Rao, former Foreign Secretary, joining us this evening. Thank you so much, Ms. Rao, for joining us. I know you're out and you had other commitments, but you've taken the time out. Let's begin with what's your own view? What we have done today, this morning, does that mark a big strategic shift in the way India has dealt with Pakistan or terrorism?
That was in many ways inevitable, and one could have seen it coming in many ways, because India has been a victim of terrorism directed against our country from Pakistan for too long. And today, yes, our government showed the political will and the determination to take a very substantive step in the direction of dealing with and acting upon the threat from terrorism based on Pakistani soil. But this is not a struggle that ends there. One must, I think, understand that there is a long struggle ahead, that the situation is very complex. In many ways, it's a very tangled web that has been woven over the last 70 years, which we have to confront and which we have to deal with. Rhetoric on either side is not a solution, and I would advise against it. I think we should take stock of the situation, again, with great deliberation, with rationality, with reason, and it does not behove a big country like India to be sounding any war bells. This is not an act of war. I think we must tell the world that this is not an act of war. This is what we are doing, a step we are taking to defend our national security. It's a commonsensical step in many ways to be able to go across and attack what we know is a terrorist camp. And from all accounts, it was a successful strike carried out with laser-like precision. And we should congratulate our armed forces, and especially the Indian Air Force, for that. I think it sends a message across the world. The alarm bells are definitely sounding, and we have shown our seriousness about tackling the threat from terrorism. What Pakistan is going to do next, we will have to also be able to visualize and to devise a strategy to deal with that. So this strategy has to be a well thought out one. Again, I would advise against raising the temperature with incendiary rhetoric on either side. I have no idea what will be said in Pakistan. Pakistan has a track record of very propagandist positions that they take in regard to this. They're in a constant state of denial. But India must act with maturity, with wisdom. We are the big country in the region, and we certainly have very legitimate big power aspirations. So I think wisdom and calculated, calibrated reactions are required. The scale of escalation cannot be a rapid one. Revenge is not a strategic alternative, as I've said before.
Yes.
So let us move with caution, but let us move with confidence and determination.
Ms. Rao, if you see what we have done today is target one of the biggest camps that JEM had. This is the terror camp of JEM that was set up in one part of Pakistan.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yes, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Ms. Rao?
No, not really.
Okay, we're just going to fix that audio line with you, and I will come back to you in just a bit. Yes. Okay, so my question was that we have gone to Balakot and we've targeted one of the biggest JEM camps. The fact of the matter is that Masood Azhar is still free, Zakir Rahman Lakhvi is still free, Hafiz Saeed is still free. There are at least 400 small to big terror camps, training camps, which are still functional all across Pakistan. One strike, is that enough? Or can this be a longer strategy that India looks at, that every now and then we take out some of their launch pads and terror camps? Ms. Rao, that question is to you. Okay, we're just going to, let her fix that audio line. But let me take that question across to our rest of our panelists. And I've also got Major General K.K. Sinha. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this evening. General, what is your own view? when we did the surgical strike in 2016, and that was an aberration as well, a marked difference from our otherwise diplomatic strategy or defense towards Pakistan. But that wasn't clearly enough. This time we've got deeper insight. The damage is bigger, but is it enough? Okay, I'm just going to check that audio line. Often we have these issues, and when technology fails you, there's not much you can do. Vinay, I'm going to come to you. We were discussing this earlier in the day as well. The fact of the matter is that there are a large number of these terror training camps and launch pads that Pakistan is completely in denial of. Does this need to be a sustained strategy then?
Well, it does, Tanvi, in many ways, because remember, Pakistan as a state and as a country has these bad habits, and bad habits have a notorious capability of coming back. After the Uri surgical strike, Pakistan did carry out Pulwama, and it shows you that they don't rest easy unless they do these things, simply because their real existence, the army's existence and relevance in that country is hinged and linked very closely to what they do in terms of the actions that they carry out within India. I mean, their state-sponsored terrorism that they do within India is part of their existence in Pakistan. So, obviously, this is something that will continue to happen. And that's why, while India today has made a decisive shift in the way the strategy has been conducted, this certainly can't be the last of it, because clearly, I don't see Pakistan backing off so easily. I think they will now be under greater pressure. Remember, Pakistan as a nation is right now underconfident. I mean, as a country, it's not as confident perhaps as India is. Even the people there are not feeling so confident. They are battling a very serious economic problem. They've been hemmed in diplomatically from all sides. The Iranians are upset with them. The Afghanis have not been very happy with them. And now you have a very angry India as well. So it's a country which is not so confident about itself. And when you have a country and the army and the political leadership which is not so confident, you can expect the unexpected. You can expect certain dramatic, rash and rather immature things that may happen in the next week or so. So we can't get complacent, and we may have to repeat what we've done depending on what they actually do in the coming few days, Tanvi.
Would you agree, Jayadev Ranade? What's your own sense? Of course, the fact of the matter is that Pakistan, to save its own face right now, will do a little bit of, response. We don't know to what extent, but one can expect a little bit of cross-border firing. Definitely ceasefire violations in the coming days. But is this a strategy that needs to continue, considering the amount of these terror camps that exist and the way they are deeply rooted?
I think we have to look at it as a message to Pakistan, a very strong message to Pakistan. But certainly what we will see is a continuation of the policy of applying pressure on Pakistan. And I think it's all-round pressure that is being applied, economic, diplomatic, and of course, counter-terrorism. Now, in that context, I'd like to point to this particular strike that has happened. I would look at it from a slightly broader perspective and say that 2 or 3 things have happened in this. One, this myth that we can't go to war with Pakistan because of nuclear power, I think that has been laid to rest. And as far as we are concerned, we've shown that we are willing to call a spade, and we are willing to strike at terror camps on the other side. The second is that the option that was exercised by India, I think, was a very clean option. What they did was that they had precision strikes against a terror camp where there was specific intelligence that 350 terrorists were being trained for carrying out suicide attacks outside J&K and elsewhere in India. So that apparently that information was conveyed to Imran Khan earlier, just after Pulwama. He didn't act on it. And at the same time, the strikes that were carried out ensured that they didn't hit either an economic, a civilian, or a military target. So it was just a terror target that was hit. And later on, as Sushma Swaraj said, our External Affairs Minister, we are not at war with Pakistan. We are just trying to sort out the terrorism. So I think the manner in which the strike was carried out was very clear. And it sends a message that we are willing for friendship, but there are certain red lines as far as our territorial integrity and sovereignty is concerned. And I think that is the message that has gone through. If Pakistan now reacts, as probably it will, across the ceasefire, heavy shelling, that's par for the course, I suppose. But if it does anything more, then I think it should be prepared for further retaliation.
Right.
You were talking about other camps. I think this is a very strong message, as I said, and more action is likely to follow in order to shut those camps down, either diplomatic or economic. Let's see.
Well, we've tried diplomatic and we've tried economic. We've tried to build world pressure. We've tried to cut off Pakistan from various nation groups, and we've tried all of those strategies, but almost none of it has actually ever worked. So I'm just going to quickly go back to Nirupama Rao before we let her go. Ms. Rao, my question to you was, you say that we have to be slightly careful of how we move forward from here on. To your mind, what needs to be India's strategy after we've carried out this bombing?
I think we have to test the waters in many ways. Of course, there's always the option of striking more terror targets in Pakistan. And today we demonstrated our capability and our ability to maneuver this very difficult situation. So in that sense, we have redefined what was an approach as far as dealing with these targets were concerned. So that is a positive development. But you will see, and I visualize pressure mounting on the diplomatic front as the days go by, and if the situation is to escalate and things are going to become far more charged, as it were, we are going to see pressure on the diplomatic front to exercise restraint. Already there are calls, not just from countries like China, but from others too. So we will have to address that issue. I don't mean we should buckle under that pressure, but we will have to have, again, very persuasive justifications for what our strategy, our forward strategy is concerned, is going to be about. So what is our long-term strategy about dealing with Pakistan? I don't think we can escape that end goal. And by end goal, I just don't mean war or assured destruction. I don't mean that. I think, war is a word, a three-letter word that carries a lot of responsibility with it. So let us not play with it in a careless way. Let us be very grown up about the way we deal with this situation. So there's a 70-year-old problem that is a millstone around our necks, and we just cannot wish it away so easily. One or two strikes is not going to take it away from us. I know that there will be voices in the country that may think otherwise, and there's a whole outpouring of sentiment about being, yes, aggressive towards Pakistan, and that may be quite warranted. We are a nation that is concerned about it, that has been injured for too long. But let us understand, for a country with great power aspirations, which wants a very legitimately earned seat on the high table, that we will have to have a long-term strategy.
Right.
And that strategy has to be about how to deal with Pakistan, how to understand how we can have a more integrated South Asia, how to deal with the current, problems we face in Kashmir, the alienation of its youth, for instance. These are serious problems, and, we cannot turn a Nelson's eye on these.
Right, absolutely. Nirupama Rao, thank you so much for joining us this evening and sharing your views. I appreciate you taking the time out. And let me take that point back to our panel. Nitin Gokhale is also with us, national security expert. Nitin Gokhale, do you agree that we will have to continue with and bring in a longer-term policy, or do you think the days for just a diplomatic offensive are over and India really needs to go the way Israelis have functioned for the longest time, the way Americans have dealt with these situations? You go in, you have fixed targets, you take out those targets, and you come right back out.
Well, it cannot be one excluding the other, one at the cost of the other. It has to be an all-round comprehensive strategy to deal with Pakistan. It has been a problem since partition, and also the fact that Pakistan uses proxy war as a state policy cannot be wished away. So therefore, it cannot be and the Americans have sort of paid a cost for just going for the kinetic option, the military option in Afghanistan, just trying to take out targets and not able to follow it up in the long run with other measures which India has done, for instance, in Afghanistan in terms of social, economic and agriculture support to the larger Afghan society. So similarly, India will have to look at diplomatic, economic, political and military options to deal with Pakistan. A one-off strike like this, no matter how successful it is, and it is successful, there is no doubt about it, will deter Pakistan and its deep state, especially its army, from behaving or desisting from launching terror strikes or using proxies to launch terror strikes in India or try and bleed India with 1,000 cuts. That policy is not going to change overnight. So let's be very pragmatic about it. But I just want to say two things about today's airstrike. It has done something that has been kind of a fear factor in the minds of decision makers, both in the political and the military domain, where, as Mr. Ranade said, that this bogey about we cannot cross the line of control, the airstrikes cannot be carried out because they are escalatory in nature, we cannot go to war with Pakistan but because we cannot afford it, has been busted. And number two, Pakistan's nuclear bogey, which was raised by several of their experts and security analysts and some warmonger or fearmongers in the West, that two nuclear-armed neighbors will come eyeball to eyeball if a terror strike comes, has also been, that bluff has been called. So therefore, I'm saying that in India's military history, India's strategic approach or history of strategic approach, this is a significant milestone, that the shackles around the thinking about airstrikes as being escalatory have been shattered or have been removed, and therefore this is one more option in the ladder between a subconventional response and the ultimate conventional war, where India can exercise this option if the push comes to shove, if Pakistan tries another terror attack, which it might as a response in India's hinterland or a big city, and a coordinated cyber attack with some of its friends on India's critical infrastructure, then we'll have to wait and watch what India does. But this option has now definitely come in India's armory.
Well, there is no denying the fact that India has sent a message loud and clear, like Nitin Gokhale was also pointing out, and most of our experts have also said, the time is over for simple covert operations. The time is over just for diplomatic strategies and offensive. Now we are going to go in and take action. That's what we showed with surgical strikes, and that's what we've done now. For how much longer will we have to do this? For Pakistan to come under pressure and perhaps start acting also by itself, it's a different question altogether. But I want to just quickly play out what the Pakistan government's response has been. And by the way, they've been confronted by their own media of how they were caught napping when the Indian Air Force jets went straight in, deep inside Pakistan, and carried out these aerial strikes. The Pak Foreign Minister, Shah Mahmood Qureshi, in fact, was put in the spot by a local Pakistani reporter. He was asked why Pakistan didn't retaliate if it had these scrambled F-16s ready, like the Pakistan seems to be now claiming. The Foreign Minister completely fumbled through without really answering as a direct response to that question. Well, so that is what they had to say, struggle for a response, clearly caught unaware over there, Vinay, and I wanted to bring you in as to that response that's come from Pakistan, for all their grandstanding about how they're going to hit back and to say that there are no terror camps that were destroyed, that Indian Air Force actually completely failed. But you can see them struggle over there. They've been clearly caught by surprise.
They have been, Tanvi, but look, now that the euphoria and the rhetoric kind of settled a bit, I would actually be a little more worried about a country that fumbles its way through very serious crises that they're facing. And I'm sorry to say this, but they've been fumbling through it all through the day. This tells you that the country is rather immature, that they don't speak in one voice, that nobody quite knows who's really in command. You have a political voice saying something else, you have an army major general saying something completely different, and that actually makes the problem a little bit worse than what it should be for India. There is no cohesion, it's immature, and they're also embarrassed. And now a combination of immaturity and embarrassment and a bit of an underconfidence in a public is a deadly cocktail. And which is why India cannot afford to get complacent going forward. We need to be prepared. We need to stay alert and anticipate any possible thing that country may do. Because when you're pushed on the back foot to this level, where you've been publicly embarrassed, caught out pretty much napping in many ways, we can't predict the way they're going to respond. And remember, unlike India, the Pakistani political establishment is just non-existent. I mean, it's as weak as it can get. Imran Khan is virtually a puppet in the hand of the army. He is propped up by them. The Taliban and the extremists were almost campaigning for him during elections. He really has very little authority and a power to do anything of his own. He's pretty much going to do what is prescribed to him by the armed forces and the ISI. And that actually means that India's going forward has to be way more alert and be prepared to counter any kind of response they may give, whether it is military or, say, any kind of subversive activity within our soil as well, Tanvi.
Right. In fact, I just want to, and I completely take your point, Vinay, and I just wanted to also let our viewers know when we were playing out that that comment really from the Pakistani government, that clip is actually from a Pakistani media channel. And so if you see that entire drama, the theatric that's playing out with aircraft flying all across the screen, those jets, where they seem to suggest that we tried to enter their airspace and then we were chased out by the Pakistani jets, is the narrative of the Pakistani government and is an animation that's actually being played out in the Pakistani media. And this is how they're trying to put across that message. I just wanted to put that clarification out there. General K.K. Sinha is with us. Good evening, General Sinha. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening, please.
Good evening. And my question to you, General, what should be the next course of action for India? We've hit the biggest of the terror camps of jaish-e-mohammed, but this is far from what we would want to actually crack down on the terror camps and the entire terror network that exists in Pakistan. But should we wait and watch what Pakistan's next step is? Should we now launch a diplomatic offensive, or should there be more military action?
Okay, when we have gone, for options like this, it is, the spectrum is very, very high, and we have not gone for a very short-term measures. We have absolutely decided that, we can go to any extent, and this time it is not the revenge. The way it is taken that, Pakistan has done something and we are just retaliating on that. This time, I think probably we have taken that lead that we were going to finish the things in our terms and conditions. So what you a little bit see, it may be, generally in the military parlance, we call it, phasing of operation, an integrated approach, a directive style of command. And when we do this type of option, especially when the air strike, which is very deep, which is very strategic in nature, you have gone for this. And when you unleash this, we are waiting for everything. And mind you, when we have gone for it, all precautions, all pros and cons has been seen. It is nothing like that is done with the jiffy. It has been done with a lot of plan. And we are very sure that we have given an option to Pakistan. This is an option we have given the Pakistan. Still the time is there. Please mend your ways. Come down the way, the whole world wants you to come down and take actions. And mind you, it can go on both the sides. And we are ready for everything, which way it goes.
Absolutely. But how do we ensure that what we have started now actually moves in a more positive and a larger impact direction? And Mr. Ranade, let me take that question to you. We've targeted Balakot today, but there is Muzaffarabad, there is Bahawalpur, there are camps around, many parts of not just in POK, but in Pakistan, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. How do we ensure that there is a continuous crackdown?
Well, we've hit 3 camps early this morning. And as I said earlier, we've sent a message, a very clear message to Imran Khan and his military compatriots saying that shut down your terror camps. We are not going to take this anymore. It's a confident message by a confident government which has been sent out. It's a message which is different from what we have been seeing all these years. And I think I made that point It's a new kind of message. It's a new paradigm that is being set. We are already seeing diplomatic pressure being applied. You're aware of our interactions with the other governments over the last few days. So I think there is going to be diplomatic pressure coming in to bear on Pakistan to shut down these terror camps. And it will be a cumulative effect. It will be an all-round pressure on Pakistan. And mind you, this one strike at these three camps is probably not the end of it. If they start shutting down the other camps, well and good. Otherwise, you can see some other kind of action probably taking place. Because Pakistan, as some other of your panelists pointed out, is not going to rest easy. They are going to be try and do something else. And if they try some kind of asymmetric action within India, that means through their sleeper cells or whatever, well, there will have to be a retaliation to that. So I think we are seeing a very comprehensive set of things being laid out by this government, and Pakistan will have to take cognizance of that. It's no longer a tit-for-tat issue. It's a policy thing which they have to take into account now.
Okay, I have a tricky question here, and I'm going to take it all to most of our panelists. And I don't know if you want to stick your neck out and respond on this one, but this is the question on everybody's mind tonight. Everyone sitting in their homes, watching television, talking to their family members, colleagues, they're just asking one question. Does this mean we are going to war? And I want to know from our experts what they think about it. So maybe General Sinha, you can start off, and then we'll take it forward.
Look, when I tell you that we haven't been in war with Pakistan for the last 30 years, and it is true. It is a hybrid war where they have unleashed, whether it is called a proxy, whether, war of thousand cut. But it is a matter of fact, it was unleashed. They have extended their arm very well. They were, initially they have reached right up to your parliament. It was a part of that only when we saw that thing, what happened in Mumbai. But we have able to shrink it to 4 to 5 districts. And that is what the actual thing on ground is. It has now confined to Kashmir. They want to expand. But we are able to do it. Now when we have gone all out and what we see, this is the first time also I see when we are taking, all actions. See, when we have announced that we are going to take actions on the water, water is a war. It will not happen tomorrow, but it takes time. So India has all decided that we will go for it. And what you say that we are not in war is something wrong. We are already in war, but what you are asking, probably what you are asking that is going to go up the ladder. Yes, we are ready, but I can tell you with a lot of confidence, and I have operated with them, and when we carried out operations deep inside in their area, I have got personal, experience when actually you are tough with Pakistan. Pakistan, is one of those countries, and Pakistan military, you will not able to do it. This is, I am talking with a lot of confidence and experience. That Pakistan army, what the bureaucrat was bringing it out, ambassador was bringing it out. Pakistan will try to do something again, what he has been doing, and the sleeper cells and things like that. But the Pakistan has to think 10 times this time to do anything like that. And we have to, actually cut it down. The way we are cracking now, you have to go all out. It is not only, confined to the people who are actually waging the jihad. The people who are also sitting there, who are supporting that. And I think, it has started. And now the ball is rolling. The roller coaster has started. And you will see that we'll come to the end to this.
Nitin Gokhale, do you agree that war as we knew it from 65 or 71 is not what we are going to see anymore, that the definitions of war has changed, and perhaps we're already in that constant state of conflict?
Partially yes. The situation in Kashmir is of war, and the sooner we recognize this, the better it is. I think it has been recognized in the past 4 or 5 years, where the government has decided that what is happening in Kashmir is not pure counter-terrorism or counter-insurgency, but a fourth generation hybrid war mixed with jihadi ideology, and therefore many steps have been taken. And Pakistan is, of course, the biggest factor in what's happening in Kashmir. So therefore, the preemptive strike, as it has been called, this airstrike, is something that Pakistan did not expect, as we can see from their response, the way their Air Force reacted. And India will have to keep this pressure up on a very sustained basis, because Pakistan is not going to get deterred with one-off strike like this every maybe 2.5 years, a surgical strike from the ground forces or the special forces, and now the surgical strike from the air. So therefore, it has to be an all-round kind of a campaign against Pakistan, isolate it diplomatically, weaken it economically, hit it where it hurts in terms of using our share of complete share of our water under the Indus Water Treaty. Also sort of modernize our military, fill the voids that are there, the capability gaps, the obsolescence should be removed in the weapons platforms and the armaments that Indian Army or the Navy or the Air Force has. All that approach has to be a very comprehensive approach. It's war by another means in that sense against Pakistan. This is good. It is, as I said, it's a breakthrough moment. But let's keep the pressure up on Pakistan, because until that is done, Pakistan is not going to behave in the medium term or even the long term.
Oh yes, absolutely. Jaydev Ranade, the same question to you, because everybody is wondering that tonight. Are we going to war?
Well, the first thing is Pakistan has been at war with us since the 1990s in Kashmir and at times attempts outside. But let's go quickly to your question. The attack at Balakot was because 350 people were being trained there for carrying out suicide attacks in other parts of India. That was the immediate reason for taking care of the problem and removing it from the scene. As far as this precision strike is concerned by the Air Force, I think it was done in a very deliberate and calculated manner to ensure that there is no escalation, which is why they targeted only a terror camp, no civilian targets, no economic targets, and no military targets. It was done in a very cool-headed manner and very deliberately. So now the choice is for Pakistan. Either it shuts down those camps, otherwise, if they try anything here, there will be further retaliatory attacks from us, and there will be a range of methods that will be used. As I think Nitin or someone pointed out, there'll be diplomatic options, there'll be economic pressure, there'll be other kinds of pressure which will be bringing in non-conventional methods. So Pakistan is already feeling the heat. It will be much more. But if you're talking about a conventional war like 65-71, I think India is trying its best to avoid it, but they certainly have decided that terror is not going to be acceptable anymore.
Well, I have a few callers on the phone line, but before I go across to our viewers, very quickly, General Sinha, so what essentially our experts are saying is that perhaps what we need to be prepared for is some kind of a response from Pakistan, maybe beyond the ceasefire violations and the heavy shelling that we're already seeing along the IB and the LOC, maybe attempts again to target our forces in Kashmir or in Punjab, and then we go back and hit out more at their terror camps. Is that the scenario which is more likely to play out than a full-fledged war?
You're absolutely right. And if you have seen that there is no general mobilization has taken place, this incident happened on 14th and we have gone on 26th. You have not seen anything, of that nature has come. But it doesn't mean that we are not ready. The military today is fully prepared. And you must understand, when we initiate a cold water strategy, that strategy is there, the battle group going. But I think, that condition is not going to come, because the Pakistan is never, in my mind, In my judgment, it is not going to go for a conventional side because they know that conventionally they will start off, they are very badly off. Conventionally, they just can't match it. So it will be a foolhardiness on the part of Pakistan, and Pakistan military understands this very well. The bogey of nuclear, which we have already defeated, it has never been there. The Pakistan has been doing it, and someone in India also trying to bring it, a nuclear proxy. That we have, have told very clearly to Pakistan and also to the world that we can't, cow down on the nuclear bogey. So
Correct.
both the sides, we are absolutely firm and we are ready. I can tell you through, we are ready up the scale in any spectrum of, things what happened in the domain
Right.
to do the things in our own terms and conditions.
Right. Let's go across to some of our viewers. Pranay is on the phone line calling us from Kolkata. Hi, Pranay. What would you like to say?
Hello everyone on the panel. I am a student of Jadavpur University and I have a few quick points to make. Firstly, congratulations to the Modi government on this historic feat, but with celebration comes responsibility because Pakistan has already started heavy shelling across the LOC. So we must be on our guard immediately. We must be on our guard immediately. And secondly, I have a few suggestions which may not be that important. Is that perhaps the future generation fighters just like F-22 and F-35s, or for that matter, Sukhoi Pakfa must be acquired, although it is best to the illumination of the Defense Acquisition Council. But then again, kudos to the Modi government for achieving this historic feat.
Yes.
And we must celebrate the responsibility.
Well, thanks so much, Pranay, for calling. Sumit Rajani on the phone line from New Delhi. Go ahead, Sumit.
Hi, I would like to congratulate the Indian government on the action taken and would urge them, it's a submission, that they should extrapolate this action into a proper policy and enable the forces to go in hot pursuit on actionable intelligence so that we do not wait for another 40 soldiers to die before we take action.
All right, Sumit, thanks so much for calling in. I'm completely running out of time here, so I'm going to thank all of our panelists who are joining us at this point of time. What is very, very clear from the steps and the actions taken by the Indian Air Force, by our forces and by the Indian government is a clear indication that this time we are not going to take it lying low. That this time we are not just going to send a dossier on Hafiz Saeed or Masood Azhar or Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi to Pakistan and request them again to do something about it. If Pakistan doesn't act against terrorism, India will. The time for more dossiers and requests is over. We have lost far too many lives. I genuinely wish that some other government in the past had actually found the courage and the political will to do this. And I will again say this. I am not sitting here and advocating war with Pakistan. But if there are terror camps, terror training camps running anywhere in our neighborhood, and if those people are being paid and trained to target our country, they need to be taken out. Our soldiers' lives are far more valuable. And so I'm glad this government has done what it has. I can only hope that they follow it with a clearer vision and with a unidirectional policy now, with a clear policy towards Pakistan. Beyond that, I only have one more thing to say. And this, I thought, clearly summarizes what our forces, what our brave soldiers and their families think and believe. This is actually a message that has been sent and forwarded on WhatsApp by a family member of somebody clearly in the military. And it's titled, "For them, it will just be another day." It goes on to say, the most amazing part is that the 12 faceless men, the pilots and the supporting crew, will simply and humbly continue their routine lives, standing in queues amongst citizens, traveling on waitlisted tickets because of not wanting to bribe the ticket collector, struggling for their children to get admission in schools because every now and then these soldiers have to move from one place to the other mid-academic session, and their children and families need to move along with them. Facing road rage from groups of money-throwing rich people, bullying from politicians and bureaucrats. And then the soldier will retire one day and struggle for one rank, one pension. These are the true heroes of India, not the Bollywood cons or the cricketing machos. The beauty of it all is that these true, real heroes don't care, and they still risk it all without any expectations of recognitions. And they will do it again and again, and every time the nation demands it from them. This is a message from a faceless soldier, or perhaps his family member. But I believe that this truly resonates how a soldier in our country thinks and acts. And that is what must be respected tonight and saluted tonight. Thank you to our forces. Thank you to our viewers for joining us tonight.